All right, let's sit down and have a real conversation about how a single neighbor with too much time and way too much energy can turn your entire world upside down and somehow hand you the most poetic win you'll ever taste. Picture this. I just spent 4 months in D.C., away from everything that felt like home, and I'm rolling my old horse trailer back down the gravel drive to my family's ranch. Sun setting, big Texas sky doing its thing. Orange, purple, that dusty gold that makes you feel like anything's possible. Then, bam, red and blue lights flare up in the rear view, and I swear I almost laugh. 3 squad cars blocking my own gate. And who do you think is standing right behind the officers, arms crossed, grinning like she just hit the jackpot? Karen Whitmore, our new neighbor from the fancy subdivision next door, Sagebrush Estates. She's practically bouncing on her toes, just waiting to see me in cuffs. The deputy walks up, hat in hand, looking more uncomfortable than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. "Sir, we got a trespassing complaint. This lady says you don't belong here." I just stare at him, then at the old iron sign, White Hawk Ranch, established 1887, then back at Karen, who moved in 3 months ago and already thinks she runs the county. Diesel fumes mix with sagebrush on the evening air. Somewhere out back, I can hear cattle lowing. "Officer," I say, keeping my voice calm as I can, "meet the woman who just called the cops on the guy who oversees every HOA in America." Karen's smile cracks. She was expecting a show, not the punchline. "Let me ask you, what would you do if a neighbor tried to get you arrested on your own family land?" No, seriously. Drop your worst HOA nightmare down below and tell me where you're watching from. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me rewind. My name's Garrett. For months back, I buried my father on this same stretch of Texas soil his grandfather broke with a plow in 1887. That land, 2,400 acres of rolling hills, mesquite, and the best cattle operation in Millfield County. He left all of it to me. And more than that, he left me with a sense of duty, legacy, and maybe a little stubbornness that comes from generations digging in their heels. What most folks didn't know was that while I was running cattle and fixing fence, I was also working my way up through the Federal Housing Administration. Right about the time Dad passed, I got called to D.C. for a promotion, Regional Oversight Director. My job? Making sure HOAs across 5 states follow the law. That irony, just wait. I was about to see it play out in ways you can't make up. While I was gone, my foreman Buck was dealing with our new neighbors, Sagebrush Estates. See, it's this big, shiny subdivision. Authentic Western living, their ads say. What that means in plain English: a bunch of folks from California paying top dollar to live beside real ranchers, then complaining when they smell, well, actual cows. Enter Karen Whitmore, 48, fresh off some HOA war in San Diego. Before her moving truck was even empty, she declared herself community standards advocate. Buck nailed it, said she had the energy of a caffeinated chihuahua, twice the bite, and about half the sense. Karen spent her first week circling our property like a health inspector at a Roach motel, measuring tape and clipboard in hand. Buck caught her photographing the cows through the fence, scribbling notes about their bathroom habits like she was getting ready to defend a PhD thesis on bovine waste. Complaints started rolling in immediately. Certified letters stacked up like cordwood. Odors, equipment storage, tractor noise, livestock making livestock sounds. All filed by concerned citizens, which, near as we could tell, meant Karen and whichever neighbor she'd managed to scare. Every couple of days, I'd get a call from Buck. "Boss, this lady's documenting everything. Timestamps on the feeding schedule. Dust clouds measured with some science gadget. She even called the county, said our access road violates her setbacks. Here's the kicker. Her house is 50 feet from our fence. Our cattle road's been there since Sam Houston was a toddler. But now, apparently, it's a traffic hazard incompatible with her residential character." I came home to 17 complaint letters and one memorable run-in at the local feed store. I'm standing there just soaking in that smell, grain dust, leather oil, when Karen corners me. Hand out, smile full of porcelain and no warmth. I'm Karen Whitmore, Community Standards Advocate for Sagebrush Estates. We really must discuss modernizing your operations. Behind her, old Marty at the register is pretending not to watch, but you know he's loving every second. I said, "Ma'am, this ranch has been here since before your neighborhood was even a glimmer in a developer's eye." She chirps, "Oh, I completely understand the historical significance, but times change, property values, you know." She never asked about our rights, our history, nothing, just assumed we'd fold because she showed up with a clipboard and a smile. That night I sat on the porch, bourbon in hand, watching storms roll in, and grinned. The county had scheduled a neighborhood compatibility hearing because of her complaints. She wanted our cattle road moved, our tractors hidden, our feeding schedule changed to suit her dinner parties. I sipped my drink. There was a storm coming all right, just not the kind Karen expected. Within a week, Karen's army grew. The Property Values Committee held its first meeting at her kitchen table with matching folders and a PowerPoint. Buck security cameras caught the whole parade, her crew arriving with laser pointers and notepads like they were planning D-Day, not plotting against a ranch. Now, here's where things get fun. Karen found out my federal title and got it twisted, figured I was some corrupt official who could pull strings for ranchers. Her plan? Go above my head to D.C. She never realized she was poking a sleeping bear, and that bear's job was investigating HOAs like hers. I played it cool, but my lawyer, Sarah, ran a title search and hit pay dirt. Turns out, the agricultural easements protecting our ranch are ironclad. You can't move next to a farm, then complain about farming. Every complaint Karen filed just strengthened our case. But Karen wasn't new to this. She'd pulled the same stunts in 3 other states, always starting fights with her neighbors, always leaving a mess. I called her old neighbor in San Diego. The woman nearly cried laughing. She tried to get her mariachi band arrested for noise. Called immigration on our gardener. Complained about our dogs barking. We only had a cat. When Karen realized I wasn't backing down, she doubled down. Hired a high-priced law firm to send threats. Measured our cows' noise levels at sunrise with a decibel meter. Climbed a ladder to photograph our equipment yard. You ever seen a grown woman chased off by a 1,000-pound cow? Buck got that on camera too. Our most social heifer just want to say hi. The rest of the community wasn't having it. Marty banned Karen from his store. Rita at the diner told her where to file her dress code suggestions. That woman even complained about chicken and dumplings being too ethnically aromatic. I swear, in Texas, the audacity alone could choke a horse. Her next power move? Organize a Facebook campaign, post dramatic photos of cows doing cow things, push a petition, stir up Channel 7 News. She even dug up our mineral rights and threatened to report a conflict of interest to my federal supervisors, like owning your own land was a crime. Thing is, in Texas, mineral rights just mean you know how to read a deed. But all her digging just unearthed more proof that the only one breaking rules was Karen. Turns out, her house was built 50 feet from our line when regulations called for 200. And the subdivision's own permits had never been fulfilled. Buffer zones, drainage, environmental impact studies. None of it done. Every letter, every measurement, every threat just tied the knot on her own noose. Her big day came at the county hearing. She came in with charts, music, dramatic slideshows. I showed up with records, history, and legal documents. You're asking a 150-year-old ranch to change for a subdivision built 3 months ago, I said. That's like moving next to an airport and complaining about the noise. Residents started asking real questions. Her support vanished. Then came the twist. The county started looking into sagebrush estates, not the ranch. Found a stack of violations. Unpermitted fences, drainage messes, buildings too tall, you name it. Turns out, the HOA was the real problem. And while Karen tried to run her media blitz, Channel 7's reporter dug in her past, found a string of harassment campaigns, lawsuits, and half the county ready to talk about her antics. When they aired the story, it wasn't evil rancher destroys subdivision. It was problem neighbor turns life in a lawsuit. Her supporters bailed. Her husband, Dave, finally snapped. Turns out they were broke, running from old legal troubles in California. Couldn't afford any more drama. As investigations rolled on, Karen's behavior got wilder. She blocked delivery trucks, stalked our family at town meetings, even tried to bribe ranch hands for dirt. When she filed one too many complaints, the sheriff's office warned her she was towing the line on criminal harassment. She ignored it, of course. Legal action was inevitable. Sarah filed for a restraining order. The judge granted it, then expanded it when Karen broke the first one. Channel 7's big story made her a household name, but not in the way she wanted. Overnight, Karen Whitmore became a punchline about what happens when you pick the wrong fight. But here's the beautiful lesson. All that chaos, every complaint, every ugly email, every sleepless night had built a paper trail so solid that not only did our ranch win, but we became a national case study. The county protected our heritage, our land value went up, our operation got new legal protections, and Karen, she lost everything. Her standing, her money, her marriage, even her home. Sometimes the best revenge really is just letting folks hang themselves with their own rope. You know, I learned something in the middle of all this mess. There's always going to be someone who thinks rules don't apply to them. Someone who mistakes stubbornness for strength, who can't see past their own reflection. But out here, history has a way of putting folks in their place. Property rights matter. Community matters. And sooner or later, the truth finds its way home. So, let me ask you, have you ever dealt with a neighbor who just wouldn't quit? Someone who thought power meant they could rewrite the world? What would you have done in my boots? Drop your own story or your wildest HOA tale down below. Let's swap battle scars, share some laughs, and maybe remind each other that karma still works, especially on a gravel road in Texas.